Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about why the pros hit it so good and 2 key checkpoints for you to use. All right guys, so let's talk about why the pros hit it so good and 2 key checkpoints for you to use in their swing. Now before we start, 2 quick things. Hopefully some of you guys have seen that we have been launching master classes about once a month. Now these master classes are designed to take you step by step with really guided learning through an individual problem you may be having. We have early extension, rotation, shallowing your downswing, senior master classes, a lot of different master classes on there. Again, really designed to take you through one specific problem in your swing. We'll put the link in the description down below for those master classes if you want to check those out. I hope you do. And one of the perks for CogornoGolf.com members is they get access to all of those master classes for free as part of their membership. With the membership to CogornoGolf.com, you also get access to all of the content on the site, really guided learning again, quick fix sections, practice sections, and most importantly, access to our Facebook group where you can post up your swings where I can give you feedback. Really the best way we know how to take your game to the next level. Hope to see you at our community at CogornoGolf.com. We'll put a link in the description down below. Now, let's talk about why the pros hit it so good and 2 key checkpoints. Now, this video is actually inspired by an Instagram post that I saw from Andrew Rice, and what he posted was a picture that we'll put on here of Dustin Johnson, and it had him at left arm parallel during the backswing, or about halfway back, and left arm parallel during the downswing. And it showed the contrast of what he looked like on the way back versus the way down. I thought it was a perfect example and visual of why pros hit it so good. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to take you and we're going to go to an analyzer video on some of the swings so I can show you these key checkpoints. Then we'll come back, I'll go over them with you guys and give you some different drills and feels, how to put them in your own swing. So hopefully you can hit it a little bit closer to like Dustin Johnson. All right guys, so let's take a look at Dustin Johnson here. And actually let's take a look at a couple guys, but the first one I pulled up is Dustin Johnson. Now, it's not the same picture that we saw from Andrew Rice, but kind of shows the same pieces. Now, what we see is him on the left here at left arm parallel during the backswing, about halfway back. And then we see him again at left arm parallel on the right during the downswing. And just so you can kind of visually, I think that shows you an awesome representation of the differences between those two when he goes back and when he comes down, and what the differences are. Some of the things that should be really noticeable. Number one would be the difference in the flex of the legs, specifically the right leg. So over here on the left, you can see the left leg still bent, the right leg is losing flex as he's doing a turn during his backswing. Clearly on the right there, he's reflexed that right leg, right? He also reflexed the left leg and he's turned his hips quite a bit. Let's say at this point during the backswing, his hips are probably turned somewhere in the range of like 30 degrees. And at this point during his downswing, his hips are already open relative to the target line. So he's definitely turned his hips. He's definitely increased the flex in his legs. You can see he's maintained really nice lead arm depth here, kind of left arm against the pec line there. And then also noticeable, we'll see in a lot of these guys, is that the shaft has changed angles. So not a drastic change, but definitely a change in the angle in that it's on a flatter or shallower angle. Talked about that in previous videos. You can see that here where the butt of the club at left arm parallel should be on or just outside of the ball line. So you can start to see some difference. You also see with him, he's reflexed his upper body to initiate the downswing. So a lot of different patterns, great wrist conditions. You can see his trail arm has went a little external there. But really the point of this is check out that lower body motion and how his arms and hands sort of have reacted to that, not the other way around. So that is the Dustin Johnson. I'm gonna show you a couple of different examples of players who do this so you can get good visuals from. So you guys know I like Hideki here. Let's pull him up at left arm parallel. He shows a lot of the things that you would see in good swings during the backswing. Good lead arm depth about in line with the right pec. You can see a good shaft angle, so on the way back, that shaft angle gets just inside of the ball line, and then on the way down, that's outside of the ball line, so a flatter angle. And again, mainly the differences here you can see is in the lower body. You see the knees and the legs have changed, flex, his lower body has rotated, the arm structure has changed a little bit, but really it's the lower body motion creating that downswing, creating a flex in the legs as they're turning, and that's influencing and changing the shaft line. So that's another good visual. Another guy who does this really well we can see here is Justin Thomas. So let's pull him up to the point where he has the same checkpoint. So at left arm parallel during the backswing. Again, a lot of these guys, same stuff going back. Good turn, good depth of the hands in line with the right pec. Shaft line is inside of the ball line, so same sort of backswing alignments. Hips are turned back, and we see as he initiates his downswing, we'll see that lower body creating the same motion. That right leg is reflexing, he's opening up, and that's really the part that's changing that shaft angle. So here again is another good visual of the difference where he gets on the way back versus on the way down. You can see for him, his lead arm gets a little bit farther out at that position, but same thing, shaft on a flatter angle, lower body, definitely rotating and reflexing. And one more here that shows a good, nice example. This is Rory from down the line, and here we see the same sort of alignments. When he gets left arm parallel on the way back, again, probably not a coincidence here, inside the right pec, butt of the club is just on or just inside the ball line. He's turning the way back, and then as he initiates his downswing, you see the lower body creating this, not a lot of action from the arms and hands there. It's a really good visual of the timing and the sequence of things here from Rory. Legs changing, flexes, he's opening. You see the shaft lays down. Obviously, he's rechanging, his upper body's flexing forward, his legs are flexing, he's turning, his upper body's opening. All those things are contributing to that club laying down. And it's the opening of the lower body, like we mentioned, the reflexing of the legs, but also all these guys are more open with their upper bodies from that point, and that helps play a factor in the shaft laying down. So hopefully this is a good visual. Let's talk a little bit about how to put this in your own swing. Okay guys, so now you saw the differences between their swings at left arm parallel and left arm parallel during the downswing and backswing. Now, really what I want to just reiterate some of the things that we saw there and give you visuals for what is the most important. When we saw that picture of Dustin Johnson there, if we go to left arm parallel during the backswing, you know, some of the things we would see there, obviously the lead arm is going to be in some amount inside the foot line. His shoulders are turned back, let's say roughly 70, 75 degrees. He has his lower body turned back, right? He's tilted over. You'll see these sort of things. The butt of the club, for a lot of those, as you see between the ball line and the toe line. So those are some of the key checkpoints as we go back. Butt of the club inside the line, left arm is in, I'm tilted and turned. And we really saw from here that during the downswing, the biggest difference, right, was that lower body motion, and that the angle of the club, the hand path, where the hands were, didn't change all that drastically, didn't come out all that much, right? But he went from about 70 degrees turn with the shoulders to more open, but really specifically his lower body created more flexed and open. What we see from there, right, is the reaction that you get. If you were to hold your left hand here with your right hand, kind of take the movement out, and I took my body lines, I was in these good positions going back, and I created the turn with my lower body. I feel like my left leg increases bend as I'm rotating my left knee towards the target, my left leg out, as my right leg increases bend and moves forward, as my belt buckle gets lower to the ground. If I didn't put any force into the club when I did that, right, the butt of the club and the actual shaft starts to flatten out. It goes from being pointed between the ball line and the toes, right, so a little more vertical on the way back, we've talked about that, to a little bit of a flatter angle. It shallows itself on the way out. From that position, you can see the club head clearly from there, goes farther behind me, puts me in a position now where I have freedom to rotate, create speed, control the club face, have good angle of attack. I mean, all the good things that come along with that. And so really I wanted you guys to see that visual. Some of you guys know that already, some of you don't. And then we could talk about how to start practicing that. Now, we're going to kind of go into the assumption that you're able to create some of these backswing pieces to put yourself in that spot, right? So this isn't going to be so much about how do I get to that left arm parallel spot, but that's a checkpoint for you to hit, right, during your practice, is when you get back here, you want to have some amount of turn. You're probably 70 with your shoulders here. You want to have the butt of the club on or just inside the ball line, right, between the ball line and the toes. Wrist conditions are neutral. The left arm is in. You're still doing all of these things on the way back, but really what I want to talk about is how do I create that motion going down? And it really all starts with what I said, which is the drill on purpose. You're holding your hands, right? And the purpose between holding your hands is because we want them to do basically nothing. In this model here, if we look at him, we want the body to create as much as we possibly can. And if we let the arms and hands go, there should be a natural shallowing. And then whatever doesn't happen from there, we clean up with active motion of the arms and hands. But first, we want to see how much we can do with the body motion. So in the beginning, what we want to do is just create some motion. So we make a backswing, left arm parallel, right? I've got the hands in, butt of the club inside the ball line, and I'm going to feel my left leg increasing its bend from here, So I'm getting closer to the ground as it's rotating around. My right leg is increasing bend and working forward. And as I do that, if I don't do anything with the arms and hands, that club wants to naturally shallow out. You almost want to feel like you're almost barely holding on to the club. You're taking kind of all of the force out of your grip. This is not going to work if you have a super tight grip and you feel like it's falling behind you and swinging. In the beginning, I want you guys to just do that. Feel like you're creating that motion with your lower body, get set in that correct backswing motion, and start to do some even with pauses where you take the arms and hands out, feel like the hands are doing nothing, and you're opening the body, you're increasing bend in the legs as you're rotating. So let's go ahead and do one. Now I've got a pitching wedge here. I anticipate this will go somewhere between like 70, 80, 100 yards, so pretty short. So I'll go back, right, 70 degrees of turn, arms are in, butt of the club's a little more vertical. I'm gonna let my arms and hands feel like they do nothing from here, and I'm gonna use my body motions to start to create a little bit of a motion. And so that's a pitching wedge. Again, probably went like 80, 90 yards. Now for me, I felt like I did literally nothing there with my arms and hands. Of course, they end up doing something. The point is if you're overly active, tight grip, a lot of tension pulling on the grip, this isn't gonna work. So same thing, I'm gonna go back into a good spot, and then I'm creating the downswing motion with just my body, right? So now if you're someone who has been coming over the top for years and years and years, you have an open face, or you really come down steeper over the top, you may have to supplement this body motion with active use of your arms and hands to change the swing direction. That would be other videos where we put a stick behind us or in front of us. You may have to manually change where the club is moving in the beginning if you're like super over the top from here. So just a little caveat there. But again, from here, I feel like my arms and hands are doing nothing, almost like I could even just kind of drop the club, like I'm barely holding on to it as I'm creating the motion. If I do that, if I just barely held on to the club, you see the weight of the club wants to fall behind me. The weight of the club would never want to fall forward unless I actively do something to the grip. If I go up and I just dropped it, the shaft goes where? Behind me. Now I know that's easier said than done, but in the beginning just to gain a feel, right? So same sort of thing, little practice-wise. Butt of the club's vertical, good turn, arms deep here. Nothing with the arms and hands as I create the rotation. And the key to the rotation, right, is increasing that flex of that left leg as it works around. Left side of the hip is lower, the right leg pushes down and forward. You're creating some rotation there. So good backswing position, and then just leave them go. Again, if you're someone who's been so opposite of that pattern, you may have to manually do something more, but if you're looking to shallow the club and get some of those benefits, you have to understand that that's gonna be generated from the body motions. The other videos we've done on why the pros hit it so good, we talked about the lowering of the lower body. It's the same sort of thing. They use their body really well first, but they already know how to use their arms and hands good. That's a prerequisite. They've already done that. So if you don't know how to use your arms and hands good, you may have to put some of that in with it. If you leave the club go, take it out in the beginning, use all body, you'll learn how to hit those checkpoints. Hopefully that makes sense. Wanted you to see and understand this as much as the actual application. If you start to check your own swing with video and see where you're at, make the adjustments, let me help assist at cogornogolf.com. I can guide you through the process. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, do us a favor, click the like button below, click the notification bell. Also, please subscribe if you haven't. Another reminder that every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are live here for Rapid Fire Golf. Would love to see you guys there. Thank you guys.